a difference as well.
Question number 5, the Honourable David Parker.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Finance. Is it his normal practice to guess when determining the business case for selling billions of dollars worth of assets?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, no. The business case for the mixed ownership model is very clear. It frees up capital on the government's balance sheet to invest in priority assets without having to borrow an extra $5 to $7 billion on top of the already considerable government borrowings. It gives New Zealanders the opportunity to invest in strong Kiwi companies rather than finance companies and housing, and it's going to improve the performance of the companies because they will be more transparent and accountable.
The Honourable David Parker.
Is he aware that the foregone dividends and profits to the new shareholders are predicted to total $1.4 billion gross over the 4 years to 2016, and that even after deducting the interest savings, the budget policy statement, his own document, shows the operating balance before gains and losses is $815 million worse because of the sales?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, as we pointed out when the government released the budget policy statement, there are a number of ways of measuring what the member's referring to. You can measure it as a change in the cash flows, in which case the government is a bit ahead, the change in the accounting profit, in which case we would be a bit behind, or include the net proceeds of the sale, in which case we'd be a bit ahead. But the outcome of all that is that it's roughly fiscally neutral, but we avoid a further $5 to $7 billion of debt, and that member will have to justify to New Zealanders why he wants to borrow that $7 billion of debt.
The Honourable David Parker.
Does the Minister think the billion-dollar hole in his operating balance before gains and losses should have been included in his government's pre-election fiscal update, given that the sale proceeds were included, and if not, why not?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's no billion-dollar hole, and with respect to the accounting for the decisions the government's making, we've had to follow the requirements of the Public Finance Act, and those are administered by Treasury, and we've been quite transparent, including at the budget policy statement, about the accounting impacts. One of the impacts that is clear is that if we can sell some of these shares to New Zealanders and pay them dividends, it means we avoid borrowing an extra $5 to $7 billion and paying interest to overseas lenders.
The Honourable David Parker.
Did he have ministerial responsibility for the pre-election fiscal update? And if so, why did he allow it to include the proceeds of sale and interest savings from SOE sales, but not include the reductions in revenue?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, that is not correct. What the pre-election update included was a decision by the government at the time of a sufficient certainty that Treasury recorded it, and that was that we would have zero capital allowances. They could not record any effect of the mixed ownership sales because no decisions had been made. They simply had a promise from a political party. It was not until Cabinet had made decisions that it reached the threshold of certainty for being booked. And the member might not like the government following the rules, but that's what we did.
The Honourable David Parker.
When will the Minister accept that including the proceeds of sale and interest savings in the pre-fu, but not the revenue foregone from the shares sold, was wrong?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what the member is saying is incorrect. The pre-election update included a decision that the government would have zero capital allowances for the next 5 years. And that is what Treasury recorded. All I can say to the member is what I said before. We followed the rules. The government did not get ahead of its undertaking to New Zealanders, which is it would take no action on the sale of shares until or unless it had campaigned on the issue and been re-elected as a government.
Question number 6, Dr. Jian Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Health.